Hello again everyone, and welcome to another MonMae tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll go over how to add custom trainer sprites to MonMae, how to edit the 3 necessary sprite sheets for the trainer, and how to add larger sprites to MonMae. Let's get into it. With MonMae open, the first thing we want to look at is our sprites. We want to look at SPR Trainers Battle, Index, and Keys, as these are the 3 we'll be working with. If we look at the sprite that says SPR Trainers Battle, this is the sprite you see when you go into an actual battle in MonMae. The Index, on the other hand, is the sprite you see when you encounter a trainer on the world map. These are the animations the trainer makes when they face right, left, up, or down in the world. And then lastly, we have Key, which is the frame we select in the room editor when we click on the trainer and we click up or down on frame. So in order to add our own custom trainer sprites, we'll first begin with the Key sprite. If we go over here to NPCs, we right click and we create our own sprite. If you already have the sprites ready for this, you would just select them and import them. We'll start with Key here. As you can see, we're adding the Key sprite, which is just this little green girl. Now before we do anything else with this, we need to open the actual sprite sheet. So with the sheet open, we can now click on Edit, and we need an actual empty frame to put this new trainer Key sprite in. Here's an empty one, but what if there is no empty one in between this? Well, you can click on the little plus button and you'll get an empty frame at the end, which you can then move to whatever position you want to have this keyframe in. In this case, we want to have it in between this blue and the guy with the hat. So we're going to copy this keyframe. Remember to copy selection, and then we'll go to the other sprite sheet, and we'll just click, and there it is. We now have a keyframe in between the blue girl and the guy with the hat. If we then go back and preview this sprite, you can see that the little girl is actually where she's supposed to be. Okay, so now we can actually import our next sprite that we need to work with, which will be the Index one. Alright, so this one has a north, south, east, and west direction. So we go and open the Index sprite sheet this time. We'll edit the image and we'll find a place where we can actually paste this new sprite into. Now if you recall, our keyframe went between the blue girl and the guy with the hat. So for this one, it has to go in between those as well, and we already have an empty spot for it. So once again, we just select the sprite, go to image, copy the selection once again, and then we simply go into our other sprite, select the location, click it, and our sprite is now where it needs to be. The last thing we need to add is the actual trainer battle sprite. So we can go and import that sprite once again, and as you can see, it's 56 by 56. So as long as your other sheet is open, you just select the image, copy it once more, and then paste it in the sheet. Just remember that your sheet is actually open in the workspace. Otherwise, you'll have to go back and open it first before copying it, and then pasting it. So we'll do the selection once again, copy it, and now that it's in the actual workspace, we can go and we can paste it. You can enable the grid if you're having difficulty on how to align the sprite correctly. Once it's aligned, click and you're good to go. You can then preview the sheet to make sure that it's exactly how you wanted it to be. Now one of the main questions we get is, how can I add bigger sprites to MonMae? Well, by default, MonMae uses 56 by 56 sprites. So let's go ahead and add our previous trainer battle sprite, which is this green girl, and she is 56 by 56 as you can see, but what if we actually wanted a 64 by 64 sprite instead? Well, okay, so this sprite is now 64 by 64. How could we make it so MonMae can handle this sprite if it can only accept 56 by 56? Well, the way MonMae handles the calculation for the sprites is that for each line of the sprite sheet, it divides it by 9, and that's how you get the width. So in order to get a 64 by 64 sprite in here, you would have to increase the width to fit 64 times 9 per line. So the width would have to be 576. So just resize the sprite sheet to 576 in width. Then you would change the grid to 64 by 64. If you enable snap, all of the sprites are now resized and fit the grid exactly how they should. So now you can add 64 by 64 sprites instead. So we'll just go to our image, copy the new 64 by 64 sprite, and just paste it into this new sheet. If you align the grid correctly, it should fit exactly. Oh, and make sure that your color is actually on white, or else the sprite will be blended. Like so. And that's it. You have now added newly sized sprites to MonMae. Please just keep in mind that the battle window is actually fairly small for MonMae. So we recommend keeping your sprites under 80 or 90 pixels in width. Support for bigger sprites will come in the near future. And that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more MonMae tutorials.